You've heard old sailors in the past. Some of them tell the truth, some of them tell lies. I'm going to tell you the truth primarily. I may stretch the truth a little bit as time goes on. But as a background, the Chatelain operated with the USS Guadalcanal at Baby Flat Top during the war, and 5 other DEs. We formed a V around the carrier. The carrier was in the center. Of course, the commanding officer of the squadron was on the carrier too. And we've been down in South Atlantic, down past the Azores, close to the tip of Africa, hunting submarines. And someone told the captain of the carrier that they were about out of fuel. Don't know if they can make it back to port or not. And he said, well, we'll go into Casablanca and refuel and then go out and hunt submarines again. Well, we went into Casablanca, but to make a long story short, as the carrier made its turn to port, the Chatelain happened to be plane guard that day. We were followed along really close to the carrier in case any of the planes that were landing or taking off didn't make it, then we would pick up the survivors. But this day, as the carrier made his turn, and we completed our turn to go in to follow the carrier, we got a sound contact on a submarine, and we were on top of it before we even knew it. And so the captain said, we're gonna fire hedgehogs at it first. And you know, if you sailors know what a hedgehog is. They fired off the front of the ship and in an elliptical pattern. And if one of them strikes a submarine, they all explode then. But we fired our hedgehogs. Nothing happened. We still had contact on the submarine. And the captain of the carrier told us to pursue the submarine, that they were going to get out of here. The aircraft carrier has no place in a battle with a submarine, so he took off as fast as he could go to get out of the way. And we came along behind him and dropped a 13-charge pattern of 300-pound depth charges. And one of them went off close enough to the submarine that it jammed the rudder. So all he could do is go in a circle. He was still submerged. He wasn't where we could see him, but he could see the handwriting on the wall. And he tried to go deeper, and we fired another set of depth charges. And this time, it reminded him of where he breathed air. He wasn't going to live down there with the fish too long. So the submarine came up, and the Chatelain was right on top of it. My battle station was just topper on the starboard K guns. And I had already fired my K gun and reloaded it twice. So I didn't have anything to do. I was a spectator when that thing surfaced all of the 20 millimeter, 40 millimeter, 3-inch guns started firing. And the captain of the carrier said, don't sink it, let's capture it. And so we lowered our whale boat and started picking up survivors. And the Flaherty, which was about 10 miles away by that time, because he was escorting the carrier, the Flaherty came back and said, we will board the submarine. And lo and behold, when they got on board the submarine, there's nobody there. Everybody had already jumped overboard. And we picked up 58 survivors off of that submarine. And when the depth charges jammed that rudder, he could only go in a circle. And we had to get him back to the States or someplace. We eventually took him to Bermuda. I'll get it out in a minute. But the Pillsbury at that time had come back to the action, and the Pillsbury's, I don't know, court-martial offense, I guess. He pulled his ship alongside the submarine, and one of the diving planes went right through the side of the ship, flooded the aft engine room and took the aft sleeping compartments. So it was a miracle that he made it back to the States. But we eventually took it in tow with the carrier. It was the only one that had enough horsepower to pull a submarine, and then half underwater and half on top. And as the rep pulled it along on the surface, they put the submarine's motors in neutral, and this propeller continued to turn as it was going through the water. And as it was turning, we used that to generate enough electricity to recharge the batteries and operate all the pumps off the submarine. And we pumped it dry and took it back to Bermuda. This was on June 4th, 2 days before DE Day. And we took that submarine back into Bermuda, and it stayed there until after the war. I think it took us 18 days to get from the Azores with that submarine, to get it back to get us all back to New York, so we could go into dry dock. And that's about the end of that story.